Hey, it's Debra Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we share knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life, ageless, anti-aging for your brain, body, and future, and the Awake Method, because it's time for all of us to wake up. And sorry I'm late today. I wasn't feeling at the top of my game this morning, as you could probably hear, but the show must go on. And I know many of you have heard some of this message maybe about a half a year ago, but I've got some new up to the minute info. So here we go. In 1971, when many of you were just a twinkle in your mom or dad's eyes, I left for a 5-month training course to become a teacher of transcendental meditation. I'm not exactly sure how many of us there were there, but it was in Majorca, Spain, and later the whole group moved to Fujifonte, Italy, but easily over 1,000 people. And we all meditated for those 5 months, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, often in complete silence and always eating a simple vegetarian diet. In fact, we only went out of our rooms in the evenings to hear discourses by the great spiritual master Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And when I came home from that course, I taught meditation full time for many years and frequently went back to be with Maharishi for 1 month, 2 months, or even another 5 or 6 months. And again, meditated for the aforementioned 8, 10, or 12 hours a day. Although we were very interested in becoming enlightened through our rigorous spiritual practice, we were also doing it because Maharishi was very clear that we were meditating to create an energy of peace to counteract the lack of peace, the negativity in the world. You know, often people would say, oh, selfish, you're selfish, taking all of those months just meditating, focusing on your own personal development. But then the research came out on what was called the Maharishi Effect, where it was scientifically proven that when groups of people gathered in one place, that the peaceful energy that radiated out had an effect on the entire world. One research study showed that when several thousand of us gathered and meditated together in Washington, D.C. in 1988, crime rate went down, hospital admissions plummeted, the stock market inexplicably rose, and so much more. And that research has actually been duplicated not only with the TM program, but with other forms of meditation and with groups not even in the same physical locality. For example, I think you remember me talking about the work of Lynn McTaggart called the Intention Experiment. She found that when individuals around the world gathered at the same time, no matter where they were, and intended for a shift to happen, indisputable miracles occurred. The intention experiment, which was verified at research labs and universities, demonstrated that collective intentioning can make seeds grow faster, could create biological changes, could in organisms, could create miraculous healings, even purify water. But the most impressive group intentions that Lynn facilitated have been when participants lowered the level of violence in war-torn areas like Kosovo and Afghanistan and the Middle East, simply by people gathering in their own locality around the world, but intentioning simultaneously. So no, meditation is not selfish. It's a gift to the world. But I believe that because more and more people are realizing the ripple effect of their spiritual practices, they are more committed to them. I believe every time we meditate, whether it's by ourselves or in a group, we tip the scales in favor of peace. It reminds me of the story of the great Rabbi Ashlag, and this was centuries ago. And the simple analogy he gave to show how each of us has the power to change the world. Rabbi Ashlag asked his students to get those scales of justice, and he placed the scale on a table, and he told his students to place on either side of the scale in each bowl an equal amount of sesame seeds. And Rabbi Ashlag then explained to his students that we are at a very precarious time in the history of creation, where there's a great battle going on between good and evil. Then he asked if the seeds on one side of the scale represented the pain, the darkness, the suffering, the unhappiness, the negativity, the lack of humanity in the world. And the more seeds are put on that side of the scale, the more the scales will tip to an age of destruction. And the seeds in the other bowl on the other side represented kindness, giving, love, good deeds, humanity. And the more seeds we put on that side of the scale, the more we contribute to the dawning of an age of heaven on earth. So, in other words, if every time you do something that hurts another person, spew anger, tell lies, discredit somebody, take credit for someone else's idea, speak negatively, not take responsibility for your own mistakes, it puts a seed on the side of an age of darkness. And every time you did an act of kindness, of love, of generosity, you spoke positively, it put a sesame seed on the side of heaven on earth and an age of peace. And if there were absolutely equal amounts on either side, how many acts, how many sesame seeds would it take to tip the scale of our planet one way or the other? And of course, the answer is one. Too often we believe who we are and what we do is insignificant in the scheme of things. Our gestures of kindness and acts of love, or the peace we create through our spiritual practices won't make a difference or won't mean anything in the grand scale of things. Yet, according to the Kabbalist Rabbi, just one action can mean the difference between the destruction of our world and a world filled with light. One seed. And how do you know that that one act of kindness that you did wasn't the tipping point, or that one extra meditation that you didn't skip was the tipping point that brought about the dawning of a new age? You get this? Never feel helpless again. The fate of the world is truly in your hands. And I know that we all yearn in our hearts to make a difference. So just remember, every act of love, every act of kindness, every act of generosity puts a sesame seed on the bowl marked heaven on earth. So that's something we can all do every moment of every day. And finally, recently, in fact, this week, the great spiritual teacher Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, founder of the Art of Living Foundation, sent an email. Well, he didn't actually send the email himself, but he had an email sent out to the millions of people in the Art of Living community saying the following, and I'm going to read it to you. He said, at this point in time, it is very important that we be vigilant to, one, increase your sattva. Sattva is purity, positivity, strength of mind. You can eat sattvic foods. You can do sattvic acts like meditating. Next, encourage other people to meditate. 3, keep your own sadhana, your spiritual practices, strong. Next, keep aside your small personal matters and focus on the increase of love for the world. Next, know and believe that divinity exists within you. Next, don't promote negative content on social media, only positivity. Our work is to extinguish the fire, not to spread it. Next, don't discuss negative things with anyone for any reason. And finally, only talk about the positive and spread positivity. So it feels good to have some marching orders. And these are things that we can all do without making a major change in our lifestyle, unless our lifestyle is to be negative all the time, which I highly doubt, knowing this audience. So I'm ready to be extra vigilant, and I hope you are too, because we're in this together. So have a great week. We can do this thing. Love to you.